Hey everybody, welcome to Healthy TV episode 27. Wow, I can't believe it, 27 episodes already. I believe that is halfway through the year, isn't it? I guess last week was. So that's pretty exciting. And this is a show where we share simple tips and strategies to make your life healthier, and for you yourself, and also for your family. And I wanted to do a follow-up from last week because I got quite a few questions, and I'm not sure if you haven't watched last week's episode and you're not watching this live, then just go back and check that out, because I went through 3 of the most important questions to make 2017 your best year yet. And those questions, just to give a quick summary, they're what we talked about was figuring out what you want, and then figuring out why you want that. And then the best, I think, then the follow-up from that is, what are you willing to do to make it happen? And so those 3 questions, although they seem quite simple, if you actually give them the respect they deserve and take the time to answer them, you can get some really valuable, I guess, like a resource to drive you to achieve what you want in 2017. And so what I was put that out there, and I got some great feedback, some messages from people asking follow-up questions. And one of the most consistent questions was relating to, okay, well, I know what I want. I figured out why it's so important to me, and I figured out, okay, what am I willing to actually do? But how do I actually make sure that I stick to those action steps? And so I thought today I'd share at least one strategy that I found that worked for myself. I learned this from my good friend and colleague, Dr. Mike, and of course I think he got it from, he's a big reader, so I think he grabbed this from one of the books that he read on habits. And really it's quite simple. If you've got a list of action steps that you're willing to take in order to make, to achieve that goal or the goals that you set for yourself, the problem tends to be for people is that those actions require time and energy, and our lives are pretty full. And so oftentimes it takes removing things from your life in order to make room for what would be argued as more important steps to take. And so I think a really good way to think about this is that everything that you do in your current life, whether your current kind of run of a week, a lot of those things are repetitive, and they actually are based on habit. And so as an example, one for me is that I go to bed as it gets around 9 o'clock, I start to get tired, but I also start to get hungry. And so I often in the past have reached for something sweet. So whether it's chocolate or it's on a good night it's a piece of fruit or something. But I had this really deeply set habit of having something sweet before bed. And so that's something that is going to be really challenging for me to break unless I first of all identify that's a habit I want to change, and replace it with something that's more valuable, more beneficial to my health. And so in that case, what I found was that, okay, if I actually replace it with something, one of the steps that I actually want to do this year is to get back on track with my nightly routine where I do some mobility work. So this is specific to me. So the habit I really want to have in place is doing about 15 minutes of mobility work, stretching at the end of the day, so right before I go to bed. And so what I decided was, okay, well, why don't I just take one habit and substitute the other? So as an example, now if I get a craving for sugar at night, what I'm actually focusing on is, okay, I'm not going to satisfy that that desire with some sugar. I'm actually going to replace it with the habit. So I have to consciously think about it at first. So no, I'm going to go and do my stretching and my mobility work, and then I'm going to go to bed. And what I found is that actually that helps a lot, and it's just distracting me and it gets me focused on something else. And it's also contributing to a major goal of mine, which is to get my sleep on track. And I know that having sugar before bed is going to keep me awake, and I also know that doing some gentle stretching and mobility work is going to help me fall asleep. So I'm achieving the goal that I want. I've identified let's go back a step. I figured out what I want, which is I want to improve my sleep. Why I want that is because when I get better sleep, I have better energy, I can serve more people, I have better moods, I'm just overall a better person. What I'm willing to do is have a nightly routine that makes sure I go to bed. But what I had to figure out was, okay, the habits that are in the way of me achieving that, was this habit of reaching for chocolate before bed or something sweet. And so I've decided to replace that habit with something more beneficial. And at first, it's kind of hard, right? Like I want to have that chocolate, but you know, I'm kind of using my willpower to stick to this new habit of doing my stretching. And you know what? Even after a few days, it's become a lot easier. And so really to kind of step back and kind of look at the structure of this, what I want you to do is go back to that, go back to the questions that you answered last week, and then when you look at that, the column or the list of things that you're willing to do, figure out, okay, well, where does that fit into my life? And how can I frame it around a habit? And actually reframe it so that, if it's for me, it was like get better sleep. Now I had to really think about what is it that's going to allow me to get better sleep. And I know that doing stretching and mobility work is one strategy I've used in the past. It's one habit that really helped me. And so you got to look at that, reframe it as a habit, and then the last step is to figure out, okay, where can I actually fit that into my life, and what habit do I need to replace it with? Okay, so I think that can be a really useful step. It can get a little bit complicated, and it's something that I have a little bit of experience with. I'm going to share the book that actually we got this strategy from. I'll put that in the comments below, and I think it'll be a great one for you to put on your reading list for this year. But I really, what I'd like to hear is some actual application of this, like where people have actually tried to maybe change their habits where they've struggled. So if you've actually tried to maybe implement a healthy habit and failed, if you don't mind sharing that in the comments below, or send me a private message. And I'd just like to troubleshoot that with you, because I think if we can really get on track with implementing healthy habits, even if you just implemented one healthy habit per month, imagine at the end of 12 months, you'd have 12 new habits that would be locked in, that would be moving you toward a healthy way of being. So, which is ultimately my goal, right, is to help you be healthier. All right, so with that, I will close off today, this show, Healthy TV episode 27. And any questions, comments, just place them below, and I will address them as they come in. Have a great night, guys.